durable leather-bound one, and I think this was about $32 at the time.
Okay.
I've had it.
The reason I
7
ask
years.
is because RCIA classes are going to start up at parishes across the diocese, and if you happen to sponsor a candidate or a catechumen, at the end, this would be a wonderful gift to give that person.
Yeah.
To
Good
further their faith. So that's
Looking
why I
online
was
between
asking.
$25 and $30.
See, that's a great gift. I just
Yeah.
think it's in the ballpark,
Well,
rather
And
than
it doesn't go out of style. It doesn't go out of date.
it's something they use all the time.
Well, the only thing that may change over time is like if you've noticed on the prayers, they've eliminated the one God. It's just God forever and ever. You know, they've taken the word one out. Well, in this missalette, in this St. Joseph's missal, the one God is still there.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've noticed that, have you? Where they just say God forever and ever, instead of one God, because they're just trying to make a point that all of them are God, the Holy Spirit. Because it always summarizes the Son, the God, and the Holy Spirit, one God forever and ever. They're trying to help you point out one when they all are God. So they've dropped the one, and some, like Father Pavel was good at because he was new priest, newly ordained, so he had that vernacular where he would just say God forever and ever instead of one God. So anyway, I think it's important that you sit and read these prior to, because quite frankly, not every priest is going to have the same, startup. They're not going to give you their synopsis of the readings and preparing your mind for the thought. And so when you have that prelude to the readings, you kind of have a chance to sit there and start listening for why the message is what the narrative has said, the theme is. Well, you're looking for that theme and that consistency. And you're right, the second reading isn't always tied into it. It gets close, but St. Paul kind of had his own way of doing things, and
Sure.
We love him for it. So but I just find that I get more out of it. And then the homily, of course, is supposed to be on that same bent where it ties all the readings in and the theme. So you go full circle. And if you start off your day in your Mass out of that, you'll find that not only you're learning the Bible, but you're understanding how the message affects you in today's life, because the theme is basically in that modern vernacular. So I just enjoy it. And you can see I even use to find
Got colorful tabs.
So are
those based on the cycles?
No, these
okay.
are based on the prayers of okay. I have mine tagged because I have fat fingers and I kind of rip the pages and you can see this. I've even gotten blood on it because I nicked myself once.
Wow.
But so I just highlight the I confess and then the Nicene Creed.
Sure. So you have the parts of the Mass marked.
Yeah.
And then you have the particular reading, the cycle of the day.
Yes.
What season we're in.
And they come
ABC.
and they come with some ribbons so that you can find the pages so you can just flip real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like rumbly, and because my fingers just do not, they're worn off. I mean, I work in dirt all the time, and so I just don't have.
So the tiny fine motor.
And these are ultra thin pieces of paper.
Yes,
too.
it's like working through your Bible. You're like, don't rip the Bible.
They put there's a lot of pages in there. If they use regular book thickness, this would be like this behemoth of a book. Right. So it's really thin. And
you know what that reminds me of? So when you have very young children in the pew, right, all the money that you tithe, right, goes to replace the hymnals that your children...
At time of the Mass.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So why is it important for Catholic men to come to Mass prepared? And Chef Lou talks about this too, not only reading the readings for that day, but maybe take some time and read before and read after that
in an actual Bible.
Yeah, to kind of get the context of the story.
Well, it's you bring up Chef Lou, it's kind of like cooking a meal. You cannot start browning beef without having the rest of your vegetables or anything else that's going to go in it. Your seasonings all pulled. You shouldn't just start cooking without having everything you're going to put in that out and prepared for, because things go awry real quick when you're cooking stuff. And if you don't, it's like, oh shoot, it's boiling. Where's my garlic? Where's this? Where's that? You you get behind, and then nothing, and then you're focused on that problem instead of relaxing or following the recipe or the method of cooking. You got to do it in a way that takes the pressure off you. And if your kids see you reading this prior to, they think there's something important in here. And let me tell you, kids are curious. They want to know why you're reading that, Daddy. What's in there? Well, I'm curious. Let me look at that too. And the whole idea of whatever you do, kids, like that old song, whatever you do as a father and a parent, your kids are going to observe and follow you. And hopefully you have good habits and not bad habits. You know, you don't want your fries going flying, your Coke spilling everywhere, and you say the S word, you know. And that's common for men to do that when they spill them on themselves. And their wife looks at you, got mustard on a white shirt. How could you, you know?
Well, I like the cooking analogy because, like you said, if you're in the kitchen and you've got a lot of things going on, it's easy to become distracted. Well, the same goes at Mass. I mean, how many times do our minds wander? You know, it's like, oh, so-and-so's here. I owe him money or something like that.
There's a lot of attendance taking depending where you sit. Oh,
so-and-so.
The kids will elbow me. Mom,
look who's here.
I'm like, focus.
Well, and again, if you're opening this, so if you do the rosary a lot, and I do, you do the Apostles' Creed for the rosary. But then when the church does, and Mass does the Nicene Creed, well, there's different words in there. And all of a sudden, I'm mumbling the Apostles' Creed going, so
it's like, I believe, whatever it is.
I had to start, so I read along with the Nicene Creed. Even though I know it, it's because right on the other page, the Apostles' and I but
Sure.
I do
opportunities to notice things anew if you see them.
Yeah.
Well, and also it reminds you of when to bow, when to strike your breast. I mean, the one thing about this is bow, strike your breast. You know, it's kind of an informative Mass so that you become more a part of it. And when you're reading as you go, you're not ignoring the priest. You don't have to look at the priest or the reader to know what's being said. Your ears will do that for you. You need to see, and if you're taking in, my grandfather always used to say, you've got 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should take in 4 times more than you speak. I think my grandfather was trying to tell me something.
That's a wise thing.
So I really think this is an important book. Everyone should have, and I think there's a children's version of this, more durable pages.
The Magnificat offers Magnificat, and so we get that. It has all of the readings for just Sunday, not the daily readings like this does. But it has Sunday, it has an activity, usually like a word thing or a maze or something in it, and it's a comic at the beginning, which 9 out of 10 times is not actually funny, but just sort of like, kind of humorous.
Well, you're an adult. You don't think kids
but it also has little, it has some notes in there about the reading, about some of the vocabulary, like some of the words that are not intuitive for kids. And so the Magnificat is an opportunity for that.
Well, also, if you are a daily Mass goer, they do have the daily Mass Missal. I don't have one of those. I don't attend daily Mass yet. I'm still working.
Right.
So but they do have it, and I don't know if they have the narrative in it and all that, but I know that they do follow the years and all that as well. But I think this is probably one of the best books that you can have. You can take it with you. It's a constant reminder. When I pick it up, it's like I'm on my way to church.
Yep.
I'm preparing myself for the day to spend it with God. And if you go in prepared, I'll tell you what, I think I get probably 10 times more out of it than I used to by just showing up. And sometimes I'd forget to grab the missal in there, and I stand like a bump on a log going,
Man Cave with Pat King, and you hear it every
it's just Pat King,
Wednesday at this time. Don't forget, Pat's also got an audio and a video podcast that comes out every Wednesday as well. You can see the video aspect on Salt and Light Radio's YouTube page, and you can go to the Salt podcast page of our website, saltandlightradio.com, to hear the audio version.
You may not like it, but I'm everywhere, man.
It's true. Spreading the word, spreading the seed, just like peach pits all across the world. We'll take a 60-second break and be back with news, traffic, and weather.
Do you have a messy family? The Office of Marriage and Family Life for the Diocese of Boise and Salt and Light Catholic Radio are teaming up to bring you the Messy Family University with Mike and Alicia Hernan. This 4-session mini course is designed to open parents up to God's vision for marriage and family. Then teach them the habits they need to transform their family life. This event is Friday evening, September 23rd, and Saturday all day, September 24th, at Holy Apostles Catholic Church in Meridian. The cost is $50 per couple plus Eventbrite fees, and that includes snacks on Friday plus a light breakfast and lunch on Saturday. Register before September 20th by going to catholicidaho.org/events. Click on the Messy Family University link, and it'll take you to the Eventbrite page. Or call the Marriage and Family Life Office, 208-350-7551. 208-350-7551.
Morning Light News time is 7:41. Currently 71 degrees in Boise, 60 Dam south of Kuna. Allen reportedly pointed a gun at a camper who was attempting to help Allen out of the river. When deputies arrived late Sunday night, they heard gunshots nearby and called in the SWAT unit. Allen was located after a ground search using an aerial drone and surrendered without further incident around 2 a.m. He received a medical evaluation and was being held in the Ada County Jail in Boise as of Monday afternoon.
Twin Falls BLM and Cary Rural Fire District are battling a fire 5 miles northwest of Cary, Idaho. The Dry Creek Fire has grown to only 300 acres, but in one day, structures are today with control by Friday. In other wildfire news, the McKinney Fire in southern Oregon and northern California has burned over 60,000 acres. The Treasure Valley is beginning to get smoky haze, but the air quality remains, for the most part, good.
We have this air quality music bed that we've been just itching to use this summer.
I looked the other day and there's only 3 spots that were awful, one being salmon, of course.
Yeah.
But we're watching out for you.
The 2022 football season kicks off next Saturday, the 27th, for the College of Idaho. With their new battle cry, "Come win with us," the Yotes will host MSU Northern at 1 p.m. inside Simplot Stadium. Last season, C of I finished with a 7-3 record, which earned them a share of the Frontier Conference title, but did not qualify for the NAIA playoffs. Keegan Croteau, Riley Lizama, Jake Inouye, just some of the former Bishop Kelly standouts that are now listed on the Yotes roster.
Fishermen from Utah caught a record-breaking sturgeon at CJ Strike Reservoir, and that was before the scum. The 10-foot, 4-inch dino fish was caught earlier this month. Greg and Angie Paulson beat the old record by 5 inches. Typically, anglers fish for, is it crappie or crappie?
Crappie.
Crappie.
Have a crappie day.
And smallmouth bass at CJ Strike and Idaho Fish and Game have witnessed large sturgeon there rarely. In fact, scientists landed only 10 sturgeon over 10 feet long in the last 30 years in the Hells Canyon area, a sturgeon's preferred home. Learn all about fish records at Idaho Fish and Game's website. Traffic and weather are next.
Support for Salt and Light Radio comes from Frederickson Health Insurance.
This is Laura Brown from Frederickson Health Insurance. Our locally owned family business has been serving Idaho seniors since 1980. We take pride in helping our senior population maneuver the confusing maze of Medicare. We make it easy to find the right plan for you based on your needs. We would love to serve you however we can. Our number is 208-375-0009, and our website is fredhealthins.com.
Good morning, Light Traffic. We were just discussing my complete ignorance of fish names. At 10 Mile, it's just slow as you're merging in, also particularly slow as you're trying to merge onto the freeway at Eagle Road. Slow, of course, where 16 connects at Chinden Boulevard. Eagle Road looks good, though. The Flying Y is clear. You're going to make your way across the city without a whole lot of problem today. That is your morning light traffic.
Sunny and very hot today in the Treasure Valley, high of about a 104. Partly cloudy tomorrow through Sunday with highs in the upper 90s, overnight lows near 70. Magic Valley, sunny and hot today and tomorrow, highs 95 to 100, and then partly cloudy through the weekend with highs in the upper 80s. Won't that be refreshing?
Wow.
Yesterday's official high at the Boise Airport, 101. The low was 66. Right now, 62 in Caldwell. Rupert reporting 56, and Nampa 62 degrees. Let's learn more about our saint of the day when we return walking with moms in need as we wrap up this wonderful Wednesday edition of Morning Light.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for August 17th. Today we celebrate St. Joan of the Cross. An encounter with a shabby old woman others dismissed as insane prompted Joan to dedicate her life to the poor. For someone with a reputation as a businesswoman intent on monetary success, this was a significant conversion. Born in France in 1666, Joan worked in the family business, a small shop near a religious shrine, from an early age. After her parents' death, she took over the shop and quickly became known for her greediness and insensitivity. That was until she was touched by the strange woman who claimed she was on intimate terms with the deity. Joan, who had always been devout, even scrupulous, became a new person. She began caring for needy children. Then the poor, elderly, and sick came to her. Over time, she closed the family business so she could devote herself fully to good works and penance. She went on to found a religious congregation that came to be known as the Congregation of St. Anne of Providence. By the time of her death in 1736, Joan had founded 12 religious houses, plus numerous hospices and schools. Pope John Paul II canonized her in 1982. There's more about the saints along with inspiration and Catholic resources at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
7:47, 13 minutes with directive that's come down from the USCCB with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We want to be able to pregnancies, want to be with them. Nicole Benz from Students for Life Action returning. Coming up in Ontario. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, welcome back. Yeah. Good to see your smiling face here in the St. Gabriel studio. So August 27th, so again, that is next Saturday, 10 a.m., Ontario Lions Park. So let's talk about the event and why we need to have it.
Yeah, we're coming together, the entire pro-life community, so all the different organizations, all the local churches, even some pro-life resource groups coming from Idaho, so I think Stanton will be there. We're going to be at the Ontario Lions Park for prayer and fellowship. There will be live music, lots of food trucks, and fun games for the kids. And it starts, like you said, around 10, and there will be a continuing life parade on both ends of 4th Avenue, which is where that Planned Parenthood location is, just continually kind of walking around out there with our signs. Lots of pro-life speakers. And then, like I said, the pregnancy resource centers will be there speaking and teaching people how to help mothers in need. So as community members, how you can help your fellow community members who are in need. So just basically just a day to celebrate life and show Planned Parenthood that they're not wanted in that community. So, or any community. So.
Yes.
What has been the response in Ontario?
It's been so supportive for the pro-life message. We did the life chain, I think it was earlier this month. It went by so fast.
You did.
And I've done tons of life chains, being a regional coordinator for all the years I was. And most of the life chains that we had a huge turnout would be because we asked all these students to show up. And so they were kind of like, oh, okay, we'll come, which is amazing. But this was a life chain that kind of, we got to spread the word. And so many people were there. I had never been a part of a life chain that was that organically built.
Well, you shared that last time you were here, so maybe go into a little bit more depth, because you were trying to set everybody's expectation level. It's like, hey, if we get a dozen people, we're doing okay, but it just blew your mind how many people turned out.
It did. I was parking, and there's people kept showing up and filing in. We had a spread. We were on the entire front of the building. and then in front of the parts store, but we were kind of blocking the driveway a little bit. We made sure people can get in. And then all the way down, we were across the street. It was just, you couldn't get everyone in one picture. It was amazing. So
it's like close to 100?
I think it was like 100 and a little bit over 100. So
that's amazing.
Tons of young people too. I talked to a young lady who goes to high school in Vail, Oregon, and she wants to start a Students for Life group. So we're helping her get a group going out in Vail. And I think she said some of her friends in the Ontario high school are interested in starting a Students for Life group as well. So Planned Parenthood's going to have quite a fight trying to get in there. So
excellent.
Yeah.
That is so encouraging. But we know that location is strategic because people from Boise will drive to Ontario, people in Eastern Oregon, but also in Southern Washington, which it hadn't occurred to me that would be a convenient spot for anybody coming from Southern Washington. Maybe my geography is a little shady there. Why are we spending so much time working to make sure that Planned Parenthood knows that it is not welcome in Ontario?
Some of the points that you stated there, they're not super shy about the fact that it's going to serve Idaho. And the state of Oregon does have taxpayer-funded abortion. And so if you come from Idaho and you cannot pay for your abortion, the Oregon taxpayers will be covering those abortions. So even folks that are in the area that don't really have an opinion on the pro-life, pro-choice, they don't want their tax dollars going to serve Idahoans coming in or what people from Washington. But it's just a small community that didn't really ask for this to happen, and they're kind of just coming in and using their property and their town to serve Washington, Idaho, and other parts of Oregon. Also, Oregon, Eastern Oregon has never had an abortion clinic, so they've always been in like Bend and then over into Western Oregon. So this would be the first time that Planned Parenthood made it into Eastern Oregon, which is known for being pro-life and conservative. And so they just feel like they're kind of being used by Planned Parenthood to serve Boise, Caldwell, and then parts of Washington. So I think that is kind of an insult to the people in the area as well as that part of the state. So.
Our guest, Nicole Bentz from Students for Life Action, joining us here. This is a new segment of Morning Light called Walking with Moms in Need. And I'm glad you brought that up about Oregon, well, Eastern Oregon anyway, because when we hear Oregon, I mean, instantly they're the villain. You hear the evil music in the background. But Eastern Oregon and where you grew up and what we're talking about here.
The part that's been trying to annex itself to Idaho for decades.
Yes.
They want to become Idaho. They're like, please take us. Yeah.
And it's because you guys share the same values as most of us here in Idaho do.
And much of the same landscape. I mean, I drove to Hermiston a couple of days ago, and it's all the same.
It looks exactly the same.
For a really long time.
Yeah. It's funny because I grew up in Eastern Oregon and I went to school at Oregon State, so I got to live in both parts of Oregon, and I love all of Oregon. It's beautiful. But when people would be like, "Oh my gosh, Oregon is so green," I was like, well, not all of it. Like,
well, I'm from Montana, and it's the same thing. People say, "Oh, Montana, it's so beautiful." It's like, well, 1/3 of it is, but once you get east of the Rockies, it is so boring and ugly.
You're like, it's desert. It looks a lot like Nevada.
Yeah.
So you went to OSU.
I did.
What was it like being a pro-life person at OSU? So I'm full disclosure, I'm a native Oregonian. I grew up in Hood River, Oregon, right? Which was just Appletown forever. Now it's really cool. People go there. It's a destination. You can surf. You can get great coffee. There's a brewery. It's really fun to visit. My mom still lives there. But so growing up in Oregon, we watched like Eugene get weird and stay weird. We watched Portland get weird and stay weird. But so being a pro-life student at an Oregon university must have really been a curious thing.
Yeah, it was. Oregon State has a pretty, I mean, I went to school as a freshman in 2012, so it might be a little bit different now, but there was a lot of ag students, and so I kind of felt at home there because I came from an ag background, and I was like, oh, people I know, they know what cows are.
You said ag students.
Ag students.
I heard accidents.
Oh, yeah, agricultural
students.
Yeah, the agricultural program is really big at Oregon State, then tons of engineers. And as I went into college, I kind of knew what being pro-life was, but I hadn't talked about it that much, and it was actually a tabling event for Students for Life group that got me into the club. And we would table all the time, and it was received well. Just mixed feelings, but nothing compared to how it is now. I think it was way easier to talk about being pro-life. I mean, especially at Oregon State, because like I said, there was a mixture of students that came from the same background as a lot of us that are pro-life. So that was a little bit easier, but definitely different than it is now. As a lot more students know what abortion is. They know the My Body, My Choice from like middle school. And so when I went as a regional coordinator, I'd go speak, and the middle school students would say, well, it's my body, my choice. I was like, oh my gosh, you're 12. Like,
wow.
Right. Where did you hear that?
Where did you hear that?
Really
early. Whereas when I was in college, a lot of people were like, what is being pro-life? Like, what do you mean there's a club for that? And it was a little bit easier to talk to people and have those mind-changing conversations, whereas now I feel like everyone really knows about it, especially now with Roe v. Wade being overturned. It's really difficult for a lot of my coworkers, but also, I mean, we're winning, so that's always kind of an upper hand to have when you're out there, not feeling like you're, the downtrodden or anything. So, but yeah, being at Oregon State it was great. I felt like we had a really solid group of people, and recruitment was hard because it's hard to get college students to get into a club and stay committed when there's so many things going on. But it was great atmosphere to practice my apologetics and talk to my peers about it. So. Yeah. Beautiful.
I know you brought a list of a couple other events or things that are going on, and I wanted to be sure not to miss anything.
I think most of it was about the event on the 27th, but also the billboard, the pro-life billboard that's going up outside of Caldwell is fully funded. So it's a huge victory there. Yes. So thank you to everyone who donated to funding the billboard. And the artwork is still getting finished with Standing With You, which is part of Students for Life. They're creating it, and hopefully it will be up soon. But we just really wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported the billboard and donated to that billboard effort, because it's going to hopefully make a huge difference.
So tell people why that billboard is important.
So the billboard will be right outside of Caldwell, so kind of it might be one of the last billboards someone would see on their way to Ontario if they're seeking an abortion, if the Planned Parenthood does open up in Ontario. Hopefully that will be a billboard that can help change minds. It says, we're standing with you, and it has a phone number. And if someone calls the number, it will, our system sends them to the nearest pregnancy resource center in the area that they're calling from, and they can get counseling and ask and try to hopefully have a mind-changing conversation before. So they have an hour-long drive, and they have all that time to think about it, and at least they have that phone number to call and talk to someone. So hopefully that would very helpful.
Yes. Excellent.
Well, let's recap real quick here. Life Day in the Park. It is next Saturday, August 27th, 10 a.m. at the Ontario Lions Park. It is non-denominational. It is a family-friendly event, so we want to see lots of kiddos out there. Invite your friends. Bring a picnic basket, a chair, make a day out of it. We're talking about a beautiful August afternoon or morning in the park. If you have a pro-life t-shirt, wear it. If you have a pro-life sign, bring it.
I love it where it's loving pro-life signs, handmade signs, helpful pro-life slogans.
Exactly.
This isn't meant to be angry mob.
No.
This is positive, particularly because there are kids there. Here's an opportunity to witness something beautiful to your children. Bring them along, because children are just naturally pro-life.
Yes.
And so they're like, well, of course this is why we're here. Of course, my children, can only speak for them, are just befuddled at the idea that people would choose otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Anything you want to add before we let you go this morning?
Just give us a follow, Abortion Free Ontario, on Facebook to stay up to date on any other events that are coming up. And then also we'll post pictures after all of our events, so you can tag yourself and share it and all that. So follow us on Facebook at Abortion Free Ontario.
All right.
Got
Fantastic. Nicole Bentz from Students for Life Action joining us here today to wrap up this wonderful Wednesday edition of the program. Later today, go to the Morning Light page of our website, saltandlightradio.com, and you'll find podcasts of previous segments, previous shows, today's show, shows from 3 years ago. They're all there waiting for you.
Yes. Road trip in your future?
Yeah.
We can hook you up. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You need to register for a virtual opportunity at the Idaho Catholic Women's Conference, idahocatholicwomen.com. Thank you to our guest today, Teresa Zapeta, Pat King, and Nicole Benz.
Tomorrow, Vocations Focus, Jim and Mary Ellen Nurse will be chatting with Diana Decker from the Sarah Club of North Idaho. Mike and Alicia Hernan joining us to talk more about the upcoming Messy Family University. And Sacred Music provided by Chris Foster from St. Mark's.
Join us at 7 a.m. for a Thankful Thursday edition of Morning Light. St. Maximilian Kolbe.
Pray for us.
Salt and Light Radio, AM 1140 KGEM Boise, FM 102.3 K272 FS Boise.